Hey everyone, I am doing a kind of a part 3 to the Q&A videos that I had the past couple of weeks. Somebody had asked me the question who your favorite bands are, and shout out to her, she knows who she is. But I thought I would do a whole video just because I could ramble on about this stuff for a long time, and I thought I'll just make a whole separate video about this. So these bands are in no particular order, but I think it's pretty clear who my favorite band is. Wearing a t-shirt right now. I have so many t-shirts. If you want to see my t-shirt collection of rock t-shirts, let me know if you would like that video. It is probably half Guns N' Roses shirts, but I have lots of other bands in there too. So let me know if that's something you want to see. Who knows? Anyway, so Guns N' Roses is my favorite band of all time. I fell in love with this band when I was 13. They came out back in 1987 with Appetite for Destruction. And fun fact, it was not the big hit. It is like it became the biggest selling debut record of all time. But the first year it came out, it kind of did mediocre. It wasn't until Sweet Child of Mine came out that things like really just like zoomed off. However, those of us with our ear to the ground back then already knew about them. So my story of how I found out about them was I started to get into hard rock and heavy metal when I was about 12, 13. And there used to be music magazines. I mean, I guess there's still some around, but we didn't have the internet way back in 1987. And so if you wanted to find out about new bands, you went and you bought rock magazines. And if you wanted to know about them and you wanted pictures of them, oh my God, you could get pictures, you can put it on your wall. It was so great. The other thing too was radio didn't really play a lot of hard rock. Like you hear, Ozzy and Judas Priest on the radio and Iron Maiden now, and it's no big deal. But back in the late 80s, like they might play that stuff later at night because it was considered very heavy. So anyway, I saw a little image about an up-and-coming band that was from LA that was releasing their album, and I remember looking at Axel and thinking like, that is the most beautiful man I have ever seen. And then later in like the September, October of that year, because the album came out I think like July or August, and then September or October, I remember a friend said to me, he gave me a tape that was recorded. It was like, like a bootleg kind of, like he would recorded on his ghetto blaster with like the 2 tape decks. He had recorded Faster Pussycat on one side and Guns N' Roses on the other. And he was like, you got to hear these bands. They're amazing, but don't let your parents hear them. And I remember hearing Apatite and just being like, this is the most amazing thing I've ever heard. And then later I saw on a video show, I saw the video for Welcome to the Jungle. And I was like, these two things are the same things. This is amazing. And I haven't changed my mind since. So they've been my favorite band since I was like 13 years old, which is a long time. 1987 was like 33 years ago. Yes, that's a long time ago. So anyway, my favorite band, I love their music right away, but just over time with some of the difficulties that I went through when I was a kid, their music really meant a lot to me. And then also hearing about some of the struggles that Axel went through when he was growing up also kind of made me realize that some of the struggles I was going through, I could get through as well, because he also came from like a small town, grew up in a very strict religious environment, like a lot of similarities there. So I certainly identify with that. And then, seeing them live when I was younger too was amazing. So they have a special place in my heart for sure. Other favorite bands of mine, I'm kind of like an 80s metal freak. I mean, I do like some stuff from the 90s and now, and I do like, stuff from the 70s as well. But my wheelhouse is 80s heavy metal for sure. So, other favorite bands I have, I love Judas Priest, like so much. I love them. I think they're so good. I have like, their albums. I have not seen them live, and I hope they come here so I can see them live because I think they're wonderful and great. My favorite albums from them, I love Screaming for Vengeance. Of course, everybody loves British Steel. I also, Painkiller was the first album I went out and bought for them, and I love that so much. And then their current album, well, it was released 2017, but it's their latest album. Firepower is really great too. So they're another one of my favorite bands. I love Iron Maiden as well. And Iron Maiden's one of those bands that I always like them, but I find now that I'm older, I appreciate them so much more. Like their musicianship is, and their stage shows, and everything, they're just wonderful. And I was very happy to see them last year. It was wonderful. This was, yeah, 2019 I went and saw them. So I love them too. I think they're really great. Of course, Number of the Beast is a great album. Everybody loves that album. But also Power Slave is great. Somewhere in Time, all these great albums. They're great musicians. So I enjoy them as well. Other favorite bands are AC/DC, because how can you not love AC/DC? They're just so fun. They're a fun, straightforward kind of band. Their music is simple and straightforward, but so much fun. They're such a joyful band to listen to. They're a classic. Of course, people say, well, they don't really change. All their songs sound the same. But that's one of the brilliant things about AC/DC is you always know an AC/DC song when you hear it. It's got that signature sound, and it's just so much fun. I love AC/DC. Other favorite bands include Motorhead. I love Lemmy so much. I could just sit here and talk about how much I love that guy. He's funny. He's like, he drank and, drugs and, slept with women and all this stuff. And yet at the same time, huge supporter of women in heavy metal, huge huge feminist in his own way. Just very interesting dichotomy, and really smart, loved history, all that stuff. And great music with Motorhead. And I love Girls' School as well, which was a band. It was an all-girl band that he really supported, and I think is just really underrated in heavy metal for sure. They were just really great. And I also love that there was sort of this crossover between punk and metal with Motorhead as well. So love them. Orgasmatron, great song. So everybody loves Lemmy, but Motorhead is another one of my favorites. I also really love Metallica and Megadeth. Metallica, the whole load and reload thing and Saint Anger, I could just throw them in the garbage. But the From Kill 'Em All to the Black Album is great, and then their latest album as well I really enjoyed, and I've seen them like 4 or 5 times. I've met them. I enjoy a good Metallica, even if there was that weird sort of Nickelback type phase in the middle there in the 90s, and the whole Napster thing, not so good. But generally speaking, I like Metallica. I think they're cool. I also enjoy Megadeth as well. And despite Dave Mustaine going a little strange there towards into the 2000s, albums like Rust in Peace and Countdown to Extinction are great. And Countdown to Extinction is sadly still very relevant these days. So I do definitely enjoy their sort of heavier type phase. I enjoy them. But I mean, if you Metallica, Megadeth, their history. Dave Mustaine was originally Metallica and he got kicked out. So there is some similar type influences going on there for sure. I love Motley Crue as well. I've loved them more when I was younger. I think they kind of went on a weird tangent for a little bit, but they still hold a special place in my heart. It's fun, sort of very hedonistic, kind of music, but it definitely reminds me of being a teenager, and they're very over the top. I have seen them as well a few times. If they come back, if they do their tour, that stadium tour that's going on, the Def Leppard, Motley Crue, Poison, and Joan Jett, I will definitely go see because I love all those bands. I love Poison as well. People think they're silly, but it takes a brave man to put on ladies' makeup and do your hair like that. They were so beautiful, and they were fun. They were lots and lots of fun, and there's nothing wrong with that. And I think that, some people diss hair metal and glam rock, but I think it's beautiful and wonderful. I love it so much. I love Cinderella as well. They are an underrated band too. They got kind of lumped in the whole hair metal thing, but they're actually really great musicians. And that's another person I love to see is Tom Kiefer. I've never seen Cinderella live, but I would love to. Unfortunately, they're broken up. But if Tom Kiefer, the singer, came, I would definitely go see him and his band as well. I also enjoy Skid Row. LA Guns is another band, Faster Pussycat, from that whole kind of 80s LA type scene. I do really love that stuff. Ozzy Osbourne, of course, is one of my favorites as well. You know, who could not love Ozzy? He's the godfather, or one of the godfathers of heavy metal. And I think he's a lovely person too. If you watch, more than the Osbournes, I love Ozzy and Jack's Adventures, because they go all over the place, see different things. Ozzy also, there's a lot of heavy metal people who love history. A lot of commonality there. He enjoys history as well. So, you know, I do enjoy him. I enjoy his music. No Rest for the Wicked is one of my favorite albums. Love that album. His new album, I'm going to do a review because there's some songs on there I really love and others I'm not so keen on, but hey, you can't have everything all the time, right? As for female musicians, Girl School, I already mentioned that I really love. Nita Strauss is one of my favorite guitarists. She's the guitarist for Alice Cooper. She is amazing. I also, Doro Pesch, who is a German artist. I love her too. She's kind of more famous in Europe. And if you're in heavy metal circles, you know who you are. But most people, they're like, who are you talking about? But she is a German heavy metal singer. She was the lead singer of Warlock. She's amazing. I also really love In This Moment, newer band, I guess 2000s. She's really great. Ritual and Mother are two, which is Mother's their latest album. It is a heavy metal band with a female singer. Really, really great. I also love Hailstorm too. Lizzie Hale's amazing. Joan Jett, Lita Ford, of course, as well. I like Pretty Reckless too. I wouldn't say they're one of my favorite bands, but I have, you know, respect for Taylor Momsen, and I'm very, very interested in this new album's coming up. I think it's called Death by Rock and Roll. So I'm very interested in that one as well. And those are like some of my favorite female artists. So I guess, you know, I have a bit of variety there. Most of it's like 80s type heavy metal stuff. I'm trying to think if I've missed anyone, because I have a lot of favorites. I talked about Iron Maiden, Judas Priest. If I've missed anyone else in here, you know, there's so many that I love to listen to, that I really enjoy. You know, Rage Against the Machine is another one that I enjoy from the 90s. The 90s was kind of like mid-90s. I am not into grunge at all. Did not like it. Nu metal is, for the most part. I think the only exception to that would probably be, is Rage Against the Machine nu metal? I don't know if they are. System of a Down is a good one too. I don't know if they fall into that. But yes, my favorites would be definitely GNR, for sure. AC/DC, Ozzy, Motorhead, Iron Maiden, Judas Priest. Enjoy Hailstorm, In This Moment, Nita Strauss, Doro Pesch, Joan Jett, Lita Ford. Those are some of my favorites for sure. Poison as well, definitely favorite. Cinderella, those are my faves. So yeah, that's the kind of music that I listen to. I'm like old school 80s metal is pretty much what I listen to. If you like any of these bands or you have any opinions on them, put below, as long as it's respectful. I know it's not everyone's cup of tea, that's for sure. I know some of the things they think about are problematic. So yes, you could, you know, if you point that out, I already know about this. But I still enjoy it anyway. I still love it anyway. So anyway, I hope that you are all having a wonderful, wonderful day. Thank you to my patrons. You guys are awesome. You guys are great. If you want to connect with me as well, I have a Facebook group, the Wild Witch Circle, there's like 3 questions just to make sure that you're interested or whatever. I've got a blog as well, which you can connect down below. Thank you so much for watching. As always, peace and love and